Hey everybody, this is Roy Carter from RNC Media, and oh man, there's some good stuff going on in the RNC in the States. I mean, so I'm a Canadian, so I don't really have a dog in this fight, but for quite some time I've watched Alex Jones, and I've also watched channels like the Young Turks, and I disagree with Alex Jones on some of the things that like I'm not religious. I'm pretty much pro-choice. I've said this in a lot of different videos too. But I mean, I really like the way that he went in there and he nailed Jank. I mean, obviously there's going to be people that are going to see the video and probably think otherwise. But Alex Jones has a way of kind of ambush journalism, which, really works in this kind of scenario, because the Young Turks, they have a huge following on YouTube and also like their websites and stuff. Like they're a presence, but you see, they don't really have a lot of different opinions on there. That they really do. There's maybe a couple of things where Jank may actually be a little bit more center of opinions on. But it was actually kind of interesting just to see how he just lost his shit. And the arguments that Jank tried to give against Alex Jones was just horrendously inaccurate and stupid. So, anyways, I highly recommend, because what happened is there was a lot of footage that managed to make its way out, but it kind of you didn't really get a good view. But I think Rob Dew is the one who actually, because I could hear his voice when towards the end, when TYT knew that they were trying to get Alex Jones and Leanne and Rob and them all out of the area, because they're trying to do damage control at that point. So if you actually watch the video, I'm not going to put it on here, obviously, because YouTube's just gotten to the point now where everything's just a copyright thing, and knowing the Young Turks and just how annoying, and probably their underhanded things. And also, you never know with Infowars, they might try to, say, hey, it's Rob Dew's footage or whatnot. But if you really look at the video, I'm going to link it in the description, and you can actually see what happens is Alex does crash the broadcast. He goes up to the TYT, I guess, when they're having a live thing or whatnot, because what happens is it gets to the point where they actually, I guess they cut the feed. So, but I'll get into that. Just kind of what I happen to see, kind of a play-by-play every couple second kind of an analysis. So, Alex is, like I said before, has that kind of ambush journalism. He goes in there and he kind of, he irritates people who are just so used to being in their little bubble and their own little, view of the world, thinking, oh, well, I've got all these subscribers. And, it's one thing that pisses me off about TYT is that they just, they're so liberal just for the fact to be liberal. And not even so much on the fact where they take into other people's considerations. No, it's always you're either, they're right, and anybody else who they disagree with is either a bigot or a sexist or just a whole bunch of different ists and isms, and they never really have a good counter argument. And they need to have somebody on there with more of a libertarian or just somebody who say, well, I could see the argument of the other side. But if if they had a correspondent on TYT, they probably even the guy from Secular Talk, who's a pretty much a branch off of the TYT, admitted with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He said, guys like Alex Jones are right. The Trans-Pacific Partnership takes away our sovereignty, gives the power over to corporations and different pretty much just kills patent laws for farmers that are trying to save their seeds throughout the world. Just all kinds of stuff. It really has absolutely nothing to do with trade. But that's just another issue. Anyway, so Alex has been on the TYT a bunch of times beforehand, so it's not like he was going on there and just going screaming into the microphone, "Fuck her right in the pussy" or anything like that. He went on there and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they mentioned something about the revolution, kind of joking around, right? And so then you could see Jank was definitely not too thrilled. Neither was his Yes Men correspondents. So it was kind of funny because I guess was Alex then kind of walks behind Jank, I guess, to get in the camera view, and was kind of looking at the camera and being hey, waving to the to his audience. And so and then I guess he said something about destroying America, and then Cenk said something about restoring America. So, and then Alex asked if he liked the Hillary for Prison shirt, and Cenk said that he just completely despises it. And so I thought that was kind of hilarious because, well, Hillary Clinton is should be in prison, and I guess he didn't like the fact that Alex Jones and I guess the Trump movement is actually making a lot of people that are know what's going on with Hillary Clinton, and so that's what I thought was funny. And then what I think I don't know the guy's name, but he's kind of like the more like not like flamboyantly like outright like funny, but not like the flamboyant like the gay guy. Because they have I think maybe one or two people on there that are gay or whatnot, but which is totally fine. I just can't remember his name. Like, I've seen him in so many different videos. He's kind of like an older guy, and then he kind of, if you watch the video, he kind of goes, "Oh, Alex Jones," and just kind of makes himself like seem like a total, like, here they are trying to say Alex Jones is like the conspiracy nutcase, and they got one of these TYT correspondents trying to make him sound like he, oh, it's Alex Jones or whatnot, but he did it in such a way that actually made him look like just a total fucking, like idiot with absolutely no credibility whatsoever. So that happens, and then Alex Jones sees that he, the other guy's trying to derail the thing. So Alex Jones then gets I guess it was either Leanne or whatnot, or maybe someone else to give him a Bill Clinton shirt that had rape on it. And this is where it really got interesting, because Cenk really just put his foot in his own mouth, and then he got Cenk just got really pissed off as soon as he saw Alex was like, "Hey, how do you like the rape picture with Bill Clinton?" And then all of a sudden you could see Cenk was getting really pissed off, and then Alex was like, "Oh no, it looks like we can't talk about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. It looks like we're in a bad spot. We can't talk about it." And then Cenk really got pissed off, and it was kind of funny. The guy that was all screaming like Alex Jones, it's actually kind of funny, because if you watch the Alex Jones show, which I do regularly, just like I watch TYT and a bunch of other channels, it was kind of funny because they had this one guy who, when they were having I guess down by the lakeside, the riverfront area there in Cleveland, that was going up there with his own microphone, acting like a total jackass, being like, "Oh, you want to screw my wife? Here's the hotel key." I swear to God, it was like the guy was the TYT correspondent was channeling his inner cuckold, I guess. But anyways, so back to the shirt. So he's got the shirt. Alex has got the shirt of Bill Clinton with rape on there, and then Cenk tries to. He says, "Oh, who makes a shirt like that? A sick man." Trying to be like, what? And if you look at Cenk's comebacks, the entire video is pretty much just him being like, "Oh, you're a sick man. You're a sick man." I'm surprised he didn't go, "Am I right? Am I right?" to the to the camera, to his to the people watching or whatnot. But it was funny because then Cenk, seeing the Bill Clinton shirt, tries to come up with some bullcrap saying, "Oh, well, who's got court documents with a rape allegation against him? Donald Trump." Which, if he would have known any kind, and you know what, they actually done a couple, I was watching some of the videos and I was just like, oh my God, so stupid. It's just funny because Trump gets a fake rape case that gets brung towards him from something that happened years ago, and I guess the person doesn't they don't even have the original person's name who filed it. It was through a lawyer, so totally political. In fact, the media completely used that and went for 2 weeks trying to destroy him, but knew that it wasn't a credible source whatsoever, because they would talk about some bullshit political motive that was using against Trump, as opposed to Bill Clinton, who has a huge history of all kinds of sexual abuse of women, and the fact that Hillary Clinton completely covered it up, and that's about 100 times worse than any crap they try to say about someone who like one time or whatnot. But let's be honest, when it comes to Bill Cosby, the more it was out of the fact that he was a sexual predator, the more people came out, and there was only one person that came out, and it was really questionable, that case. In fact, it probably wouldn't stand up in a court of law. And I know I'm kind of defending Trump on that one here, but anybody who knows politics can see a dirty trick, because they never pulled this out for the past year and a half up until about a month ago, when it looks like he was going to be the presumptive nominee. So it's total political pandering. And so that's when I found that Cenk was just really kind of he used a really stupid argument to say that, oh, well, Donald Trump is a worse sexual predator than Bill Clinton. And I mean, this is Bill Clinton we're talking about, I mean, Kathleen Willey, there's just so many different, just at least a dozen or 15 actual confirmed cases of people that have said that they, had either him, expose himself to them, or, trying to, bite their lip, and, all kinds of weird shit. And I recommend anybody to go and check that out for yourself and find out that it's true. So that is when, Cenk really showed his true colors, because he's not used to being used to being ambushed. He's used to his nice little comfy TYT set. He's used to his nice little liberal prerogative, and nobody says anything that's too conservative or too libertarian. This is the same guy that hates freaking states' rights, doesn't want people to have the Second Amendment. And I'm a Canadian, guns aren't really part of my life, but I support the Second Amendment, because I see that in history that it has been tyrants and dictators that have used gun confiscation. And I mean, the states, they have it strictly in their constitution, and Cenk has tried to warp the what they actually meant so many different times in so many different videos, making himself look like a complete idiot, and trying to say that they had no idea, and even back in the day they knew what was going on. They even allowed people to have cannons, saying, "Oh, hey, you have a right to a cannon," to because it's to, for defense, so they obviously knew what was going on, the founding fathers. But anyways, so when this whole the whole Bill Clinton the rape shirt thing falls through, then freaking Cenk knows that he's kind of lost the argument, and so then he gets he takes the after he's got the microphone, and he's freaking out or whatnot, he sees Roger Stone, and as soon as he sees Roger Stone, he switches over. He's like, "Oh, Roger Stone, you're a sick man. You're a sick man," because that's all he can really come out with. He had absolutely no freaking real reason to at one point he did say something, but it kind of cut out, and and then Roger Stone was kind of saying, "Oh, well, you're the one who's the liar," after Cenk tried to accuse him of being the biggest liar in the media, which is a really huge overstatement, considering just how many actual when you've got the New York Times, you've got so many different political figures out there, and even news figures that are so much more worse for when it comes to political bullcrap. A lot of the times, Roger Stone, the stuff that I've been watching on Alex Jones over, I watch that show regularly, along with a lot of other shows out there in different channels. So it's not like I'm completely paying attention to just the libertarian side and the truther side of things. I've watched, Democracy Now! And a bunch of other stuff too. But, I like to try to get a different perspective, even knowing that some parts are, Media Matters, George Soros funded. So it's good to get that kind of perspective. But, all Cenk was doing was just yelling at Roger Stone, just pretty much calling him a sick man with absolutely no argument. And then so Roger Stone then made the valid point, saying, hey, that, TYT criticizes him, and he gives him absolutely no chance to defend himself. And then Cenk was calling him sick again, and then Roger called him a liar, and then Cenk says, "Oh no, you're a liar!" Not having any sort of really good comeback. He just pretty much just said, "Oh no, you're bad." Pretty much the second grade defense. Not even that. I mean kindergarten defense. For somebody that actually can't make an original criticizing point, a valid point of why that person is a bad person or what that person has done. So it was just a total failure on Cenk's perspective there. And you can see him just completely losing his shit if you watch the video, which I'll link in the description. And so that was just hilarious. And then Alex, kind of seeing the spot, because he's kind of sitting back at this point, because, Cenk's now focused on Roger Stone because, obviously he can't win an argument with Alex. And so then Alex is like, okay, well, since, Roger was saying, that you criticize him, but you don't have a chance to give him a chance to speak. He's like, hey, why don't you debate him right now, Cenk? And he says, what's the matter? Are you scared? And then Cenk's like, oh, I'm not scared. And he puts this stupid little face on, I am so glad that Cenk got ambushed by Alex Jones. And I understand TYT, they make some great points and they have some pretty funny videos on there. I'm not gonna lie. They do an alright job for a media organization. A lot better than I'm doing sitting here. I'm not making any money out of it, or I'm not getting any funding from anyone. I'm just doing this out of my own, my own will. But even I can just see the outright just how he was not prepared, and Cenk just got completely destroyed from the ambush journalism because he's so used to having yes men around him. He's so used to not having his opinions criticized from an outside source, which I think was just awesome on Alex Jones, because then he made the point, oh, why don't you, are you afraid? And he's like, I'm not afraid of Roger Stone. And then he's like, all right, well then debate him. And then Cenk goes, well, I'm not going to debate him. I'm not going to debate him. And then at that point, he notices that I guess they cut the feed from the TYT, I guess maybe it was a live feed or it was a taping, I'm not too sure. And so then he's like, oh no, because he knows he's kind of lost that argument with and he's not saying anything really to Roger Stone. So then he goes and starts saying, oh no, put the feedback on. I was like, what? You just put the feedback on so you can see him not debating with Roger Stone? And I'm just like, wow, at this point, Cenk has just totally lost the argument, totally make himself looking like a fucking idiot. And as much as I disagree with Alex Jones on some things, his ambush journalism and the smile he had the entire time was just hilarious. At one point, he even starts giving him the bunny ears behind his head just because he's just it's just Cenk's just being a total freaking ridiculous idiot at that point. And I'm not being biased here. I mean, I if you watch Sargon of Akkad and Bering and a lot of other people's videos out there, they have completely destroyed Cenk Uygur, or whatever the hell he pronounces his last name, many, many times over on his stupid arguments, on just, they don't even try to take the Republican or look at it from another side. And I'm not even a right winger. I supported the Socialist Democratic Party here in Canada last thing around, and I would never support a conservative here in Canada, because we don't have anyone like Trump who's talking. All the conservatives here are all about free trade, or all about selling about national sovereignty at their own expense for money, which is just that's why you can't trust them. But anyways. So at that point, it was kind of you could definitely tell that there wasn't really going on there. So then, after doing the bunny ears, then the TYT kind of was going into damage control. And at that point, Alex was just kind of all right, I'm all right. Here, he took the mic back from Cenk, and was kind of just laughing, and just kind of he made his point at that point. And I think at that point it was actually going to calm down a bit. Looks like he was going to, that Alex was going to go, because you could tell that the TYT crew, they had one of their assistants tried to grab Rob Dew's camera because he was getting good footage, right? And then he's like, hey, don't touch my camera, get away from me. And then so the assistant's like, oh, I don't know what to do. So, and then at that point, Anna Kasparian starts running her bitch mouth, and saying Alex Jones just wants attention. And then the second insult that she hurls at Alex Jones, which I think is completely just totally shows you how much of a hypocrite she is. Pretty much saying that called him a fat fuck, and I just thought that was ridiculous, because I've seen so many different cringeworthy videos that TYT has came out with, where they have shown all these people that have fat shamed, and just being like, oh, look at all these fat shaming, trying to use it as the liberal argument. And here she is, the second insult she hurls at him is, you fat fuck, when he's actually lost weight, and he's actually, he's got a bit of a gut on him, but he's not that big. I'm more of a fat fuck than he is. And I just thought that was just hilarious, because here's TYT talking about how they're so liberal, and then Alex Jones makes the points it out and says, you guys are anti-liberal. You guys aren't liberal. Look what you guys are doing. And then he also mentioned, criticized TYT's, not going after Saudi Arabia, and which is a legit criticism for the fact that, okay, yes, TYT has done some good videos on women driving in Saudi Arabia and some of the financial implications of Hillary Clinton taking Saudi money, but they don't go into the Islamic extremist point. Like, they don't like to talk about that because it's a liberal sacrament, and you automatically can't talk anything bad about the liberals. But or Islamic terrorism, for that matter, or the fact that a good portion of Muslims in Europe and stuff in different areas, have a huge are against homosexuality, are against women's rights, are just like are pro Sharia law, which is not compatible in a Western democracy. In fact, I've seen so many different videos of TYT where any kind of act. Let's say there's a guy of a white conservative that goes on a shooting spree. Then that's all a huge thing about it. About how they're all but they don't like to talk about the fact that San Bernardino couple were Islamic extremists, and that there is an actual they're all about the Islamophobia push. And so Alex Jones made a good criticism, and that just sent Cenk completely over the edge. And then he gets up and he starts pandering, getting all pissed off, and then at that point it just became it got really close to looking like there was going to be maybe even a physical altercation. But then Cenk, instead of actually going off against Alex Jones on legitimate things that he's been wrong on before, no, he gets up and says, "Oh, what do you think? It's lizard people running the show, Alex?" And if you ever watch the Alex Jones show, David Icke, who is a guest that comes on and whatnot, and George Norrie, there's a few people that Alex Jones does have on. But, Alex Jones doesn't actually think that it's lizard people. He jokes around about sometimes on his show to, get stuff about the mainstream media and stuff. But he's actually religious. For him, he thinks that it's actually the elite, the people that are running the show, George Soros, people that are really high up in these round table organizing groups that, pretty much push, the same Adelstein and, a bunch of other people that from different parts of the, Republican and Democrats, and also just globalists in general, that, pretty much have a really kind of dark and messed up agenda. And if you look at the way things are going, they're pushing fluoride as a good thing, and you just look at the way society is right now, he does make some good points. And, the fact that Cenk was trying to say, oh, well, just try to make him into a conspiracy theorist about the lizard people. Alex Jones doesn't believe that there's lizard people running the but he does know that there's an evil group of people that are really powerful and rich and don't want anybody else to have that power. And it's not, even George Carlin, who was a real traditional liberal, because he knew that there was people in power. He said, there's a club and we ain't in it, and that's true, because to be able to get into these high power structures, you don't just work your way up there and you're chosen from the merits of how well you can do your job. No, you are handpicked and made sure that you can be compromised so that you follow exactly the way. Just look at Dennis Hastert. How the hell did that guy become Republican speaker in the States when the guy really didn't even really have a political career for the most part? He was a freaking a coach, for Christ's sakes. But because that they had the fact that he was a pedophile, they could easily manipulate him and get him to do whatever they want. So those are the kind of people that we end up seeing that are, and hey, there's been plenty of times where there's Republicans or Democrats where you find out they have secret fucking gay lovers and weird shit like that, or pedophile rings. In Britain, they won't even investigate the pedophile rings because it's so deep inside the actual parliament and what's going on there. It's just so ridiculous. So, I have to say, it looks like Alex Jones really kicked ass in this one. Cenk had no serious rebuttals. He got completely thrown off by one of his own correspondents that started acting like the cuck from the what was it, the speech that Alex Jones and Roger Stone had a couple days beforehand, went down by the Riverside area or whatnot, where they had the one guy who was like trying to give Alex his hotel key to sleep with his wife or some crap like that. So it was just ridiculous. It was so funny to see TYT just get their own echo chamber just completely destroyed. And Alex Jones made the point that, obviously if you're seeing that many Hillary Clinton for prison shirts in Cleveland, and just the huge support that's going around Trump as it is, when TYT has said many different times and tried everything they could possibly do to destroy him without, by giving just, they criticized Hillary Clinton when Bernie Sanders was running, because Bernie was definitely their TYT's boy. And as soon as, I have to give TYT some credit because they did make some attention to the fact that, Hillary and the superdelegates has just like completely robbed Bernie Sanders for the popular vote. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I'm gonna let you guys decide for yourself. But I just had to make some points that I happen to see in the video there. Cenk really got kind of owned, and for people that first thought that it was just Alex Jones going up there to start shit, he did, but he did it in a way that actually wasn't like just completely antagonize this. Like he wasn't just going up there mainly to antagonize them or to go fuck her right in the pussy or say something stupid like that, to make them seem stupid on their TV show. He actually got Cenk to go into like a meltdown, and it's I'm sorry, but Cenk, he's been in the game for a long time, but he can't take criticism. He really can't take criticism, and that's where it goes to show you just how faulty TYT is. And that's why I watch their videos, but I have to cringe through most of it. And I don't care what people do behind closed doors, consenting adults. Like, I'm a sexual libertarian in that regards. I also, there's a lot of stuff that I have a liberal viewpoint on, but there's some stuff I have a conservative viewpoint on, and there's other stuff that I can see both sides of the argument instead of just saying, "Oh no, my side's right, your side's bigoted." Like I'll listen to anybody that has different points that they're making, especially when it comes to the American government, because there's plenty of shades of gray in when it comes to the Republican and Democratic parties and how they're run. There is no good and evil, as much as they try to make you think that Republicans are rich, bad, and hate gays, and the liberals and Democrats are all loving for equal rights and stuff like that, and they're the good guys, when they may have done some good stuff. Like Milo nailed it on the head when he was talking about for the Gays for Trump, and he was saying that for about a couple decades the Democratic Party did some really good things for the gay community, but now they're bringing in Islamic groups that completely want to throw and execute gays off of tall buildings and stuff, and have they want to implement Sharia law. They don't want to actually integrate society and become part of of the nation and actually contribute. No, they want to segregate, and they want their laws being pushed in certain areas where if you don't follow their religion, then you're the bad guy. So I'm going to leave it at that, let you guys decide for what you want, but I have to say, when it comes to watching that video, I'm just looks like Alex Jones is on a roll, because then he also had another video too, I noticed, where he was talking with Van Jones, who they obviously don't agree with each other and have talked about each other on camera a few different times, but they actually had a civil conversation and was able to joke around and have a lighthearted talk, instead of Cenk, who just wasn't completely prepared at all for and then also seeing his little defense videos on the TYT, making it seem like Alex Jones is the bad one and all this stuff. I love how they try to push it that way when Alex Jones had some legit criticisms. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm gonna have to say about that. Looks like Alex Jones won this one, and TYT, they're decent if they're in a confined studio setting, but when it actually comes to legit criticism and ambush journalism, they can't take it. And they've been in the game for what, like over, I think it got to be over a decade or close to a decade now. You think they would have been able to come up with some legit criticisms? And all the times that they've tried to say that Alex Jones is a madman, that he's sick, it just goes to show you that all they can come up with was ad hominem attacks, instead of actually legitimately criticizing the fact that Ebola was, like the fear scare that they have there was unwarranted. Even though I have to say, Alex Jones did point out some good errors and faults of the CDC in improperly handling contaminated material, and also for their quarantine for people that actually, when it's known that in some cases Ebola could be transmitted through sneeze droplets and stuff like that through in the air, even though it's a very rare form. The CDC should have done better quarantine precautions just to make sure. But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that, and feel free to put your opinions in the comments section. But I just had to comment on it because it was just so exhilarating seeing it. And I don't mind the TYT. They're a lot better than CNN or ABC or Fox News for that matter. Because let's be honest, Fox News has got their share of bullshit. They've especially the Outfox, Rupert Murdoch actually had that DVD. So they were trying to suppress all that stuff way back about RBGH, growth hormones, and the Posilac injections for cows and stuff, and just how they had their talking points, from Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch. So anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Looks like, I know I've said that a couple times already, but keep on rocking the supposed free world, people, and talk to you next time. Peace.